Hey guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I've got my friend Megs and then my buddy Brandon helping me out. We're gonna go over some of the handstand tutorial stuff that I've taught in my workshops, but also in my public classes. So I would keep a block handy, maybe even two if you know you like to sit on a block. And if you don't have that stuff, see if you can find maybe like a thick book of that shape, but we're definitely gonna need something of that size to work the arms today. So when you're ready, go ahead and meet me in tabletop, so all fours on your mat. Brandon, you can, just ditch the block to the side. Okay, cool. So the first thing that we want to do when we start to set up for our handstand is always take care of the wrist. So if you think about it, when you start to practice yoga, your wrists are basically your ankles, in the sense that you're weight bearing all of the weight forward into the hands and not into the ankles themselves. So to start, we're going to turn the fingertips out towards 3 and 9 o'clock. That means your right fingertip is facing the right, or your right middle finger is facing the right side of the room. The left middle finger is facing the left side of the room. And then from there, you're just going to make some big circles one direction, around and around, any way you want to go, left or right or left, it doesn't matter. Yeah, and then as you start to make these circles, can you feel that the index finger and the thumb really start to support most of this weight? So knowing this, we love to shift weight to the outer edges of our wrist, and we actually want to keep that into the inside of the wrist. So we got a little joint here that likes to build strength. You guys can go ahead and switch circles the other way around. You guys notice Brandon's wearing a very good-looking, stylish tank top. It happens to be my tank top. And yes, I paid him to wear it. All right, and then from there, you're gonna bring it back to center, and then go ahead and bring your hands into neutral. So as you bring your hands into neutral, we're just gonna start to warm up the wrist even deeper. I want you to take your right wrist crease and turn it forward, and then only the fingertips and the ball mound of the hand is gonna stay down. The arch of the hand is actually gonna stay up. A slight bend in the elbow backwards, and then what I want you to do is just lightly start to lean your body back. So the thing that I want you to be mindful of most of here is if you know you're double jointed, no hyperextend the arm, keep the elbow bent here. And you're going for sensation, right? So a little bit of hello, how's the wrist, but no pain whatsoever. Big difference between sensation and pain. What I want you guys to feel is you're getting some love there, but not too much where it's starting to hurt you. And then just a couple rounds here, just a normal breath today, guys. You can just keep your natural inhale and your exhale. And when you're ready, we'll go ahead and undo that, and then we're gonna flip it up and over to the left side. So turn your left wrist crease forward. That means the fingertips are facing you, the palm of the hand is still facing down, and then the fingertips and the ball mound of the hand is up. And then you're gonna start to lean back a little bit, micro bend in the elbow. If you decide you wanna do this stuff standing up, you can also just extend your arm out, take a little bend, and then pull back on the fingers. My personal preference is always to do it like this. I'm just a little more comfortable this way, but it's really up to you. What do you guys prefer, this or seated? Nice. There you go. And now you have it. All right, guys, so take one last big breath in, and then you're gonna exhale, undo that. And then just a little counter stretch. We're gonna go back to the right hand. Top of the right hand is gonna go down on the mat, and you can't bend your elbow back this way. If your elbow is bending back this way, stop this video and go see a doctor immediately. And you're gonna lean back. Good, and then again, it's just a little hello to the forearms. Nice, guys, good. And then when you're ready, we'll undo that, and then we're gonna flip it up and over to the left side. So top of the left hand down on the mats. Don't need to be aggressive on this, just a light little lean back. Scoot your butt back towards your heels. Nice, good, Max. And then when you're ready, we'll undo that. And as you start to undo that, just give yourself one more second here to really feel the index finger and the thumb ground down into the mat. So this is gonna be a game changer in your inversion practice, or actually in your entire vinyasa practice. And in all actuality, before any vinyasa-based class, I highly recommend warming up your wrists, because you're gonna take a good amount of work on there. You'll walk your hands about 1/2 inch in front of your shoulders. You'll tuck your toes, and then down dog, we'll just go for it right away. As always, I recommend that before you take any of these videos, you're warmed up. And so in down dog, get cozy, get comfortable, and we're just gonna go for the shoulders right away to start to fire them up to prepare for what they're about to do. So on the inhale, I want you guys to shift forward into plank pose. You're gonna bring your shoulders lightly past the wrist. Make sure that you're not locking out the arms. And then there's a big push of the ground, so the ground pushes back up into you. Ideally, we want the shoulder blades to pull away from one another. If it's too much, you're welcome to rest on the knees. Still pushing the ground away, yogis. It's gonna be the same exact thing. One more big breath in. And then as you exhale, we'll bring the hips up and back in space to downward facing dog. And so we'll try that one more time. So when you're ready, you'll bring it forward to plank pose. Again, resting on the knees is always an option. And now think about sending your pubic bone forward and your tailbone back. And again, a big puff of the upper back. You're there for another 3. Nice, guys. You got it for 2. And then 1, you're going to send the hips up and back, come to downward facing dog. And then inhale, look forward at your hands. As you exhale, you're going to walk the feet up towards the top of the mat. You can keep your feet as wide as you need them, about hip width distance or even closer, whatever feels best for you. And then bend the knees lightly. We're just going to roll up to standing, guys. We've got a lot of work to do today, so go nice and easy on it. On the inhale, just go ahead and ride the breath up to standing. Easy does it. Your arms will just kind of dangle and come up last. And then next thing I want you guys to do is, before we move through our Surya Namaskar, is grab a hold of one of your blocks. And you're going to take the block the narrowest setting possible. So Brandon will turn to the front and show you. And you're going to set it in between the inner thighs lengthwise, as high as you can get it into the groins. Yeah, when I say get it up there, guys, get it up there. And then once you start to set it in, we'll go back to the top of the mat. Know that taking your feet close together here is going to be really uncomfortable. So ideally, you want to keep your feet about block distance apart. Feet going too wide, the block's just going to drop down to the earth. And then I want you to feel the block being squeezed by the inner thighs. So here's where we start to find hip adduction, right? Or we're squeezing something, we're adding it into the center line of the body. Then your lower belly starts to pull in and up, and then just a couple half namaskars with a soft bend in the knees at the bottom. Today, when you do namaskar, you're going to push the hands together so that you activate the shoulders. Inhale, we'll send the arms straight up and over your head. So you'll push down to the ground so you lift up to the body. And then as you exhale, forward fold, you'll bring it all the way down to the toes, soft bend in the knees. You're probably going to need that with the block in between the inner thighs. Then inhale, you'll lift your chest up halfway for a flat back. And then as you exhale, bring it back down to your toes and hinge from the hips. Then together, inhale, we'll rise up. So sweep up and over your head, Urdhva Hastasana. Good. Then as you exhale, palms come to the heart center, release the hands to the side body, continue to squeeze the block. Then inhale, we reach the arms straight up, so Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, we bring that all the way down to the toes, forward fold, and hinge from the hips. Then as you inhale, lift the chest, look front and center, Ardha Uttanasana. And again, exhale, back down to the toes, you hinge from the hips. And then we root to rise, so send the arms straight up for Urdhva Hastasana. Then as you exhale, palms come back to the heart center, we release the hands down to the side body. So one more just like that. Inhale, send the arms straight up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, bring it all the way down to the toes, forward fold, and hinge from the hips. Then as you inhale, you'll lift your chest up and out, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale to come back down to the toes. You're going to pause here. Go ahead and take your block and set it off to the side. You'll pick it up in just a little bit. From the pause, we'll take another halfway lift, so a flat back. Then as you exhale, you're going to plant your palms and then step back into plank pose. So again, plank either on the knees or full plank, it doesn't matter. Push the ground away firmly first, and then feel like you had a second block in between the upper arm bones. Squeeze that for 3. No chaturangas for 2. And then straight back to downward facing dog. You're going to send the hips up and back in space. Take a big breath in your down dog. And open mouth exhale. I want you to cleanse that all out. All right. So now inner thighs are starting to warm up. Shoulders are starting to warm up at the same time. Let's get a little bit deeper in the shoulders. Come on down to your hands and your knees. And then sit on a block, a second block if you have it. Sit on your heels or sit back in between your heels. And then take your second block into your hands. And Brandon, if you don't mind really quick. So the way I want you guys to hold this block is lengthwise across the chest. And the way you're actually going to use the hand to hold it is not with the fingertips itself, because that's going to fire up your forearms, but rather you're going to push in with the palms, which is going to help your outer shoulder start to fire up and find some length. So we'll start with bent elbows at 90 degrees, and then we'll bring the shoulders up, down, and then halfway down the back. Now pull the lower belly in and then up, and then first things first, yogis, take your block and push into it with everything you have. So like this is your one last task to do before you win the lottery or something like that, right? You got to push, 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 and push. You're going to feel the feels, but again, I don't want it to hurt. When you're ready, slow count of 10 to get to straight arms. Here we go. 9, 8, 7, you got it. 6, straight arms. 5, 4, 3, 2, then 1. The wrists are about the shoulders height, yogis. Stay here and breathe. Continue to feel the push. Now, as you do this, upper arm bones are squeezing in, rib cage is lightly hugging back, and lower belly is lifting in and then up. Continue to feel the push. How you guys holding up? Good. I promise we're getting froyo after this, so we'll make up for this. Good. Nice, guys. So you're about halfway there. I totally just made that number up, but we'll say another 30 seconds for fun. 30 seconds. Good. Keep pushing, yogis. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, and then 1. Block goes off to the side. As you set the block off to the side, yogis, I'm going to recommend that you do this at least 3 rounds. For the sake of the video and time-wise, I'm just going to demo it once. After you do that, we'll go ahead and take the hands back down to the mat, and then downward facing dog we go again. Now, as you start to shift back into downward facing dog, yogis, I want you to walk the feet together to touch at the back of the mat. Now, playing around with swing and hops is going to happen in just a second. But before we get there, what I want you to think about is your hips as being one line of energy, right? And I'll actually take the blocks to show you. So as you start to think about your hips, right, or 2 blocks, lift your right leg up and back. Yep, for a 3-legged downward facing dog. And then do the thing that most people like to do, lift your right hip higher. And then if you were to look at Meg's hips from the side, here's what's happened to her hips, right? They've turned into 2 hips. So keep the right hip in line with the left so that you have one solid piece of energy. So go ahead and drop the right hip down. And then just to start to build it here, you're going to inhale, shift forward to a 1-legged plank pose. The shoulders go slightly past the wrist. Outer hips are hugging together. You're here for 3. Nice, Brandon. For 2. And then 1, we'll take the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Right foot goes down. Feet are together at the back of the mat here. And then left side, yogis, inhale, left leg goes up and back for a 3-legged down dog. So without lifting the left hip higher, right, because you want to keep 2 hips together, you're going to keep the left leg as straight as possible, shift it forward to a 1-legged plank pose. Push the ground away, your upper back lightly begins to puff. Imaginary second block still in between the biceps. For 3, you got it. For 2, and then 1, shift back and come to downward facing dog. Now, as we start to come to downward facing dog, yogis, I'm going to ask you to move your mat to a wall so that we find box pose. So I'll say pause now, and I'll meet you guys at the wall. All right, so now that your mat's up by a wall, what I want you to do is start to set up in down dog. And before you actually start to move your way to a wall, go ahead and walk your hands back towards your feet with bent knees. I'm going to show you guys the distance to the wall. You'll bring your hands on your hips for support, and then Meg's just going to rise all the way up. So then she's going to turn around and face the wall. And as she turns around and faces the wall, she's actually going to start to bring her leg up to the wall and kick the wall away. Yeah, and then the distance where you place your hands going from the wall to box pose is about a leg's distance from a straight leg to the wall. So we'll say for now, I'll drop my foot right here. Okay, so come into down dog again. I normally use a little block or something like that. Just kind of start to mark. So your hands will go there. Great. Just tried to tickle my toes. And then as you start to warm up, yogis, here's a good thing to know about box pose. Starting with 5 seconds for a consecutive week is great. And then building up to a 10 seconds for another consecutive week, so on and so forth. But don't feel like you have to hold this for a whole minute and a half on day 1. Remember, the whole point is to go over these videos 1 step at a time and then reuse it as much as you need to. So when you're ready, so start to walk her feet up the wall. And as she starts to walk her feet up the wall, we want to get the feet ideally to about hip width distance. She's firmly going to push the mat away. And again, that imaginary block is still in between the upper arm bones. So she'll push, she'll wrap the ribs, option to stay here, or option to start to lift one leg straight up towards the ceiling. Good. And then again, for the sake of today's practice, I'm going to have her bring that down and then bring the second one up. Again, you'll build 5, 5, and 5. And then another 5 seconds here, then we'll bring that down, and then we'll have her come down and take a full rest. A little child's pose just to catch back up, or even embryo. Knees together, hands go back. So after you take box pose for as long as you need to, we'll meet back in downward facing dog, either by a wall or not, depending on your practice. I'll meet you on that first setup. All right, so now that we're back to our mats, just 2 more things before we can start playing around with handstand. We've got to get the belly ready, specifically the core in itself, to get you guys to kick up and keep your balance there. So from here, you're going to take a deep breath inhale to come high to your toes. You're going to bend your knees, look forward, jump all the way through to a seat. And then again, like you did with your block in between the inner thighs when you were standing, come on down to your backs. Keep your block with you because you're going to need it. And then as you come on down to your back, bend your knees so the bottom of the feet are going down to the mat. Take your block, squeeze it up in between the inner thighs as high as you can get it into the groins. And then while we move through this next little portion of class, you'll be making a big shushing sound with your breath. If you've never done it before, it goes shh. That'll help get some oxygen out of your body and actually activate the core a little bit more. Remember that when I talk about core in yoga, we're thinking from navel to groins, that little sandwich in between, nothing above that. We'll start with the arms going up and back behind us. We'll take a deep breath inhale at the top. Then as you exhale, before you start to shush, I just want you to feel your navel go down towards your spine. Then we'll add some movements here. Squeeze the block with the inner thighs. Keep your arms nice and straight. Take a deep breath in. Exhale and shush. Send your arms forward. Chin comes into the chest. Lift the shoulders off the mat. Now turn the palms down. Stay in this shape, don't move. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, big shush. Nice, guys. Another big breath to inhale. Exhale to shush. Again, big breath, inhale. Exhale, big shush. 3 more. Big breath in. Exhale, we shush. Again, full breath, inhale. Exhale, shush. Last one, big breath in. Exhale, we shush. And now very gently bring the fingertips lightly behind the skull, widen the elbows, send your legs straight up towards the ceiling, keep the shoulders off the mat. Take a big breath, inhale here. Exhale, lower the legs forward for 5, shush. 4, elbows wide, belly in. 3, 2, 1, bent knees if you need it. Inhale, legs come back up. 2 more, exhale, lower it down, shush. 5, 4, nice Megs. 3, you got it, Brandon. 2, last one, inhale, bring it up. Exhale, shush. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. They're really questioning why they decided to help me today. 2, and then release, block to the side, knees to the chest, give yourself a squeeze. And because it feels good, especially after some core work, massage out the low back, so one direction, left or right, right or left. Yeah, and then the other way around you go. And then yogis, go ahead and meet me back in down dog. So you can lean onto one side or you can rock and roll and then get to down dog that way. Whatever's gonna feel best for you, just start to meet your way back in a downward facing dog. A couple concepts we're gonna touch again, and then let's get into this. Feet are gonna start together, which is gonna help the inner thighs scissor into the center line of the body. Fingertips are gonna spread nice and wide so that you keep the weight resting on the index finger and the thumb. Now, anytime you're moving into a handstand, whether it's a swing and hop or not, think about always keeping the arms straight and then keeping the legs straight. So anytime you bend the knees or the arms, you're allowing, you can think of fear to come into your body. So you want to push fear out, and you also want to kick fear out. Know that handstand is gonna be a process. It is a journey, right? So without doing thousands and thousands of swing and hops beforehand, it's kind of like you have to give yourself that permission to enjoy that space. So take your time with it the entire time. And what I want you guys to do is take an inhale to send the right leg up and back. Keep both hips in one line. Then as you exhale, step your left foot a good 6 to 8 inches forward. Yeah, you'll have to play around with the distance. It's a little bit of trial and error. Now, keeping the right leg strong and straight, you can A, point your toes backwards, B, flex the toes towards the face, or a little bit of an in-between, you floint the foot. So think about like Barbie feet, right? Her toes are down, but her heels are kind of lifted up. You're gonna gaze down in between the thumbs and not back behind you. Know that the concept of looking down is important so that you can push away from the earth. And then just a couple swing and hops. I'll have the option of Meg going into handstand in a second, but just so you see it, we'll take a nice deep bend in the left knee, right leg straight, exhale, just start to bring the leg up. Yep, that's it. And then pull lower belly in and up, try it again, one more big breath in. Good, and then for the last one, I'll actually spot Meg to go into the fullest expression of the posture, so take a deep breath in, exhale, swing and hop. Once you decide to come up, yogis, inner thighs are squeezing, heels are touching, you're firmly pushing the mat far, far away from you. Yeah, and then try to bring the heels back up over your shoulders. That's it. For 3, you got it. For 2, and then 1, I'll have her come on down. Nice. And then embryo pose. So knees together, arms go back, you'll let yourself rest. Handstand is going to be a journey. So take your time getting there, be patient with it, and know that thousands and thousands of swing and hops to find some hang time is more than okay. And also know that your handstand may just be your hands down on the ground and maybe one toe coming off the mat, and that is also more than okay. Take your time with box pose, take care of your wrist. Thank you guys for watching today's little handstand tutorial video, and until next time, see you later. Thanks for watching my video. If you liked it, subscribe, comment, like, and share, and tell all your friends so that I can continue making more yoga videos for you guys. Until next time, you rock.